Hi, everyone. It's Diana here, and I'm sitting today with our managing partner, Sandra Ziskind, and host of Ask a Traffic Cop, Mr. Sean Shapiro.
It's me.
I want to talk about this, about cops appearing in traffic court. Back in my day, if the cop didn't show up, you were off scot-free, and it didn't matter what you did, and you would just walk out of there a free person, as I like to call it.
I mean, again, Highway Traffic Act, not murder or something like that.
Good,
We're talking
good
about,
that
you're talking about a ticket. We're talking about a ticket. Nobody's walking out because the cops didn't show up for a murder case, FYI, but okay.
I mean, it did work, though, before. Or then you'd have the conversation with, I think, the prosecutor or something like that. You'd have like a little side combo with them. They're like, listen, I can get you off if you do this and this and that. I'm like, okay, I'll pay for the problem. And then that was that. And again, I walked out a free person. And I'm going to say it like that, Sandra, because I feel like it's very valid.
And it makes you happy.
Yeah.
I can dispel some of the myth and rumor surrounding how this works.
Okay, so you start, you pull somebody over, you give them the ticket.
I give a ticket, and that is not a winning ticket. That is you being held accountable. It's an allegation.
Yeah.
It says, I believe you did something, and you should pay this fine and learn from the experience.
Yep.
But you have the opportunity to contest if you think you're innocent. Problem is, people abuse that. Yeah. They decide that every opportunity to go to court is an opportunity to get out of court. So they fight almost everything. Now, you have three options on the back of a ticket. You can either pay it immediately within 15 days. You can
Who's doing that?
A lot of people, actually. Most people just want to move on with life.
Yes.
Yeah, the vast majority. And then you've got the ability to have a first appearance with a prosecutor. That means that you can have a Zoom or a telephone call or however they do the meetings now, where you get to hear what they have to say. Yeah. And if they offer you a deal, you can choose to take it or you can proceed to go to court. That's up to you. You're not bound by that.
Right.
The other is going straight to trial. You get to go in, you can ask for your disclosure, you can do all sorts of things. And there's a guide to POA defense available online. I linked to it at trafficcop.ca.
Oh, so you can request all those things. Like
you can do all the things you want, but people go and just do it to waste time. They know they're guilty and they're choosing to try and get out of it.
Yeah.
And the biggest one is they're hoping that they don't have the officer show up. And in minor traffic, very often, if the officer's not there, case is dismissed. But an officer is obligated to go. They're paid to go. They're responsible to go, and they can only be canceled if they're required for duty. On like there's something going on.
There's something more important than this.
Or they're sick. Yeah. Right? That's the only time that they can't just not show up. So what people do is they go to court and they say, the officer's here, they duck out, they have their friend go in and say, my friend's sick today, can you put it over? In the hope that the officer won't make it next time because there's scheduling confusion and there's another chance. They just roll the dice again.
Yeah.
Well, the courts have figured out that this is silly and it's a waste of time. Okay. So they've changed their angle. What they're doing is they're going by way of the ticket without an officer. They are not requiring the officer to be there for speeding, for minor offenses with documents and whatnot. Okay. They can proceed without an officer.
Because that's enough, right? That's proof enough for them.
The courts are proceeding. It's upsetting a lot of people.
Right.
But and the paralegals and the people that are in the business of defending these tickets don't have a defense that stands with, I showed up and I got you off because the copper didn't show up.
Right.
No, now they actually have to have a fight and challenge the allegation.
They actually have to really.
They can have a trial without a cop.
And it actually becomes a bigger deal than it needs to be, like a trial that will last longer than it needs to.
The big thing is that it allows the courts to take the gameplay. It's no longer rolling the dice when you go to court. Yeah. It's actually still having to deal with it.
I mean, the judges might be happy now because now they can actually I feel bad because I feel like all they do is knock their gavel, okay, guilty, sure, whatever, pay the fine, get out of here. Next. I
got to say that I think in minor traffic court, they're trying to really be fair. I have given stellar evidence, if I do say so myself, stellar evidence where I have painted this picture. I mimed out some stuff and
diagrams.
Yeah. and then the defense comes up and says, but I wasn't doing it. And then you hear the justice go, the officer gave great evidence, but you know what? The defense gave great evidence, and I think I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to and I'm like, what?
So they always give benefit of the doubt to the
more often than not, the layperson gets benefit of the doubt, and that's fair. I need to articulate myself as to what I said and did. I can't just go in there and say they're guilty. Yeah. Why do you have to? I don't want to testify. They're guilty. I wouldn't be here if they weren't guilty.
Stuff go on, yada yada.
So there are so many stories I could tell. We don't have time for that.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I think they're really fair. And sometimes so fair that they give them the guilty people a free ride.
Does it matter to you, Sandra?
It does. But to Sean's point, they do still it's still the reasonable doubt, beyond a reasonable doubt.
So even
for that.
So you do walk free.
So where it becomes important for us is if you're convicted of a traffic crime. Then in a lawsuit, that decision is binding on the lawsuit.
Okay.
So if I did an unsafe left turn and I'm saying the other person was unsafe for speeding, which is usually what we see. That's the most contentious we see in personal injury all the time is left and straight, right? Did they have the orange? Did they have the green, right? That's always how it is. So sometimes our people are charged with the unsafe left turn.
Okay.
If they get charged with the unsafe left turn, then they're at fault. You cannot then go to a civil court and say, no, I'm not at fault. Once you're convicted in a court, you're convicted. It goes through all the courts.
That sounds like something you would need to go back and forth on. I think you would just go like a little back and forth on that one.
You've got minor traffic court, and then you have collision court. And it's a different stream. It's much more serious, and they tend not to dismiss just because somebody didn't show up. They tend to put it over to another day because it's so much more serious.
And
you have witnesses.
If it's causing like bodily harm or stuff like that, they do take it seriously. And it is important for us to get it straight because there are times, the police do come after the fact and they are trying to piece it together. The court's job is to say whether there's a reasonable doubt it happened the way the police believe it happened. And listen, the police, I'm not just saying it, Sean's here, the police are usually correct. They've seen it a million times before. They do get it wrong sometimes, but usually they're correct because they're very experienced in traffic situations. So they can kind of figure out who did what. And now you have also like different cameras they can use and access and that sort of thing. So just for us, it's important that it's correct.
Right.
Now, if I have a plaintiff and the defendant is charged, let's say the defendant is charged with careless and gets off, it doesn't mean I can't still sue.
Because something was still.
All it means is that they couldn't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay.
For the charge. And it should be clear that the charge doesn't change the fact that the collision happened, doesn't change that you're still responsible. It just means you weren't impacted for your driver's license, and it doesn't give you that extra push for helping in court.
I think we mentioned before, like you're the one who'll show up. You'll pop in and be like, oh,
because I still do the report.
No.
Even if I didn't lay charges, I still have to do the report. I still say what happened.
Yeah.
But there wasn't enough there to justify laying the charges, or both were at fault, or it wasn't going to be there was no reasonable prospect of conviction, I think is the wording.
And also you got to understand, for the criminal court, like for the traffic court, that's one thing. But then when we go to civil court, only because it's a reasonable prospect of conviction beyond a reasonable doubt, when you go to civil court, it's just a preponderance of the evidence. So then when the police officer comes in, so if people think, I got off my careless driving charge, now Diamond and Diamond can't sue me.
We can't do anything.
Oh no, we will still sue you. We don't care.
Because
and in
it's still the facts of what happened in the accident.
Correct.
Right?
And in fact, in a civil court, just because I just needed to be a little bit more, I call in somebody like Sean. Sean has way more credibility than anybody in the courtroom, because the courts feel like, why would he lie?
Yeah. So even if he didn't show up to court, you can call him up and be like, hey, tell me what you.
I would always, so when we go to court on a motor vehicle accident, we always call the police officer on scene to give their evidence. The police, in my experience going to court, when the police officer testifies, whatever the police officer says is gold. Right. I had a case where the defendant was this lovely little old lady who made a left turn, exactly what I'm saying, into my guy. And we were really worried that, the jury was going to side with her because she was such a nice lady.
Yeah.
But the thing that saved us was the police officer said, nope, it was her fault. The minute the jury heard the police officer, it wasn't my guy, it wasn't her. The minute they heard the police officer on scene, they're like, why would the police officer lie?
What do they have
to win?
Here? Right.
What do they have to win here by doing it?
Yeah.
I think the real question is, can you trust little old ladies?
Also,
no, they're the
as a little old lady myself,
they're the most conniving.
As a little old lady myself, I'm going to say yes.
Yeah. Personally, I can't wait to be a little old lady so I can get away with everything.
So long time ago, I worked in loss prevention at Costco.
Yeah.
Little old ladies would come in and just pick stuff out and walk out and steal stuff.
Do. And I don't know. No, I'm not.
They look credible. No one wants to stop the little old lady.
What do you mean?
They ask people to help them carry the stuff they're stealing out of the car. Be careful of little old ladies.
Yeah,
that's your public service announcement.
So after all of that, everyone, whether or not the cop shows up in court, guys, it doesn't matter. Either Sean will enforce the charge or try to do his best to enforce the charge. But if he doesn't show up, the courts are apparently still going to do it. Even in the event that it does go thrown out, Sandra Ziskin's coming for you. If you hurt one of her clients, she's going to come for you, regardless if that charge sticks, regardless if the cop shows up. It doesn't matter anymore. Be alert, be safe. If you do get the ticket, take whatever route you want. But at the end of the day, if it was a very heinous act or criminal act on the road, Again, one of them are coming for you.